What film role was 100% perfectly cast? Ali Ermey in Full Metal Jacket. Ermey was originally just a consultant on that movie. He impressed the director so much demonstrating how drill instructors act that he just cast him instead of having him train the actor. As a consolation prize, the actor got the small role as the helicopter door gunner in the second half of the movie. You know, the one who goes get some. Well, he did get to deliver one of the most iconically fucked up lines in history. How can you shoot women and children? Easy. You just don't lead them so much. Apostrophe. Pam Ferris as Trunchbull in Matilda. I remember seeing an interview or behind the scenes video where she stayed in character even during filming breaks, so that the children's fear of her would be more genuine. It's because she is like Miss Honey in real life. Everyone loved her, and the kids didn't want to throw food at her. That's really cute. Leslie Nelson in Airplane. He had been a serious actor to that point and they picked him because they wanted someone to play the role 100% straight. It's weird to see how one generation knows him as a serious actor, while another knows him as a comedic actor. I've talked about that with my grandma a couple times. Same with John C. Really, he is kinda funny in Gangs of New York. You big, fat, curly-headed F. Kathy Bates in Misery. Her American Horror Story characters have been amazing also. I really liked her as Jo Bennett in The Office. too. Maybe she's just a good actor. No, that can't be it. John Candy as Uncle Buck. Obligatory upvote for anything John Candy. Such great memories of childhood films and apparently one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. Oh, and let's not forget the great outdoors. His performance in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is an all-time great. Two scenes stand out for me that showcase how amazing John Candy is. The first is that scene where Steve Martin is at his wit's end at the end of the first day and starts yelling at John Candy's character about how he never shuts up. At first, you're laughing. Steve Martin really kind of has a point, but he just keeps on going. And you see John Candy being a sport about it at first, and before long the joy just leaves his face and he starts looking serious. And then you just feel terrible that Martin just completely broke Candace's heart. It's a rare serious moment in a movie that's basically a comedy, and it just turns on a dime due to how well that scene is acted. The other scene is that one where they're driving the car at night and the Ray Charles song Mess Around comes on the radio. Pure physical comedy by John Candy. I like to imagine the director just turning him loose and saying go for it in that scene. And he fucking does. It's such a wonderful moment. You wanna hurt me? Go right ahead. If it makes you feel any better, I'm an easy target. Yeah, you're right. I talk too much. I also listen too much. I could be a cold-hearted cynic like you, but I don't like to hurt people's feelings. Well, you think what you want about me. I'm not changing. I like me. My wife likes me. My customers like me. Cause I'm the real article. What you see is what you get. Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. To piggyback, Thomas F. Wilson as the many versions of Biff Tannen. Griffin Mad Dog Tannen. He's one of the great 80s villains, and also his choices just fit perfectly in the tone and world they built. He's especially good in part 3. He is criminally underrated when it comes to his role in the success of the trilogy. He could have just played the same character each time, but Biff, Griffin Maddox are believable as different people. I also love his older Biff. Always felt that older and old Biff was sort of aware that reality had changed around him. Seeing the DeLorean fly off likely triggering something, and you could feel that in his performance. You've just described an observation about Biff for which I've never had the words. That look of consternation as he's foiled time and time again. The confused awareness something isn't right. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. No one could ever compare. I listened to a podcast called The Beetlejuice Minute where each episode covered a minute of the movie. It really opened my eyes to how incredibly talented Michael Keaton is as an actor. My personal favorite moment is when he says he wants to get out and Lydia replies that she wants to get in. There's a split second where his showman facade drops and he says, "Why?" It's so subtle and I never noticed it before. This is heartbreaking because he was Juno's assistant, which means he killed himself. You can see on his face the confusion and horror at this teenage girl wanting to die. Low-key, this is one of my favorite moments of the film. He is so entirely blown away by the idea that someone would actually want to die that for a moment he completely drops all pretense and is left completely befuddled. It's a great scene against suicide, which says a lot more than the single word Keaton utters. You might not like how things are going, but nothing truly ends. Maybe things do for you. Maybe they don't. I'm not going to get into a theological discussion here, but life is going to continue without you, and others will live with your actions. Even if you don't. It's a rational question pushed up against an irrational idea, coming from a character with first-hand experience which knows better. And it's absolutely brilliant. Bruce Campbell as Ash. Hail to the king. Baby. Also epic as Sam in Burn Notice. You know, spies. Bunch of bitchy little girls. Family too. Hey, is that your mom again? If you're desperate. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. FTFTFTFTFTFTFT. Liver and fava beans. Yum. And a nice Chianti. Sigourney Weaver in Alien. Even better when you know the part was written without a gender specified. I never knew that. That's awesome. That cast was as good as you could get. Sigourney Weaver was phenomenal. Imelda Staunton as Umbridge. Gotta hand it to her for such a good performance that it made the entire fandom hate the character. If the movie were a live theatrical performance, during her bow she absolutely would have received the ultimate compliment a crowd can give for a villain performance. To be booed. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Bryan Cranston as Walter White. Both him and Aaron Paul were made to play those characters. Aaron Paul was so good that it changed the story. Jess was going to be killed off in S1. I didn't know that. And it's probably one of my favorite performances of all time. I used to work with kids in their late teens with substance abuse issues, and I cried my eyes out in a couple scenes because of the amazing job Aaron Paul does of showing how kind and decent a person Jess is. He tries so hard to do better, and there's so much pulling him back. I've worked with so many young people like that, and Aaron Paul absolutely nails it. He spent some of his childhood growing up in Emmett, Idaho, so he may have some experience with people like that, but he went to high school in Boise, so maybe not. I met him in person. I'm from Boise, and he was so damn kind when he didn't need to be, and also likes to go out and do normal stuff with his family. And there's an unspoken rule that Idahoans don't bother him, even though he is the most popular person in the state by far. Ugh, sorry for tangent, I just really love him as a person and entertainer. Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. The Princess Bride. As I recently watched the cast reading, I was reminded how perfect they were. I would call out everyone who was particularly awesome, but then this comment would never end. That being said, Mandy Patinkin deserves some award for that performance. Rob Reiner does an impressive Peter Falk impression, and I would still ride away into the sunset with Kari Elwes any day. Kari Elwes' book on the making of the movie is fantastic, the audiobook even better, as the players read and tell stories of how it came together. The tales of Andre are great, and you get a sense of how much everyone loved him. I wish I could met Andre and just given him a big hug. Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. Firstly as Prince Akeem, but the other characters he played including Sexual Chocolate's Randy Watson, the guy at the barber shop, Where's the Soup, and others. F you, and F you. Hoss next. Classic. The royalty is clean, your highness. Ron Perlman was perfect as Hellboy. My dad, over the years, has gone from being mistaken for Tom Selleck to being mistaken for Ron Perlman. James Earl Jones voices Darth Vader. To add on to that, his voice is Mufasa. Can we just agree that his voice is perfect? So good that he was the only voice actor that they recast in the live action Lion King. His voice is Mufasa. Edit. Not saying it was good thing that he was the only voice actor recast, but that his voice is so good for that role that they realized they couldn't replace him with anyone else. Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. I couldn't imagine Temple of Doom existing if Tom Selleck got the job for Raiders. Tom Selleck does have swagger to fit the role. but Ford has a special kind of mischievous swagger that just fits the role in a way that gives him so much depth and dimension. Yeah, but he couldn't pull off that always annoyed look that Ford had, and the sly goofiness Ford brings without being cartoonish. Evanna Lynch's Luna Love good. Yeah. She did the lost, but not lost feeling I get from Luna in the books very well. I once described Luna as down to earth. Just not our earth. Apostrophe. J. K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. So good they cast him twice. 3 times. He even voiced Jameson in Ultimate Spider-Man. It comes up less often, but at the time I thought Alfred Molina as Doc Ock was one of the best cast and played comic book movie villains I'd ever seen. I Will Not Die Monster. Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. He tried to decline the role, said it was too dark for him, then complained about losing any chance of getting laid if he got the Anton Chigurh haircut. He got Penelope Cruz. Doubt he would struggle to get laid even with that hideous haircut. Michael Clarke Duncan as John Coffey in The Green Mile. He's also hands down my favorite character in Armageddon. Michael Clarke Duncan is a treasure, and we lost him too early. He was literally known for fans wanting hugs from him instead of photos. Richard Attenborough. Welcome to Jurassic Park. Maggie Smith as Prof McGonagall in the HP series. Maggie Smith as the Dowager Countess. Maggie Smith as fucking anything. She's just glorious. Gilbert Gottfried as Iago. Judd Nelson in The Breakfast Club. Tim Curry as Frank-N-Furter. Tim Curry as Darkness in Legend. Tim Curry as the Butler in Clue. Tim Curry as Hexxus in Fern Gully. Tim Curry as Pennywise in A Tim Motherfucking Curry. etc. Ad nauseam. Robin Williams as the Genie. If I'm not mistaken, the Genie was actually written with him in mind. He was hesitant to take the role, so they had animators knock up some scenes using voiceovers from his stand-up gigs. He agreed for a low price, $75K, on the condition that Genie wouldn't be used to sell merchandise. Disney did it anyway, which is why he no longer voiced Genie. He did return for King of Thieves after an apology and asking price of $1 million. Dan Castellaneta played Genie in Return of Jafar and the TV series. I recently watched King of Thieves, and the few Genie segments are just as good as the original.